Hi everyone, so this video is focusing on expansion. Expansion is something you would have done in grade 9 and 10, starting in grade 9 with distributive property, especially when you're doing your algebraic expressions with perimeter and area. And then you also would have used it in grade 10 quite a bit, especially when you started your quadratics unit. So we're going to be focusing on different types of expansion. And we are just going to recap a little bit and go through some of the rules, especially dealing with FOIL. There's something called the box method, which if you've learned it, maybe you are a little bit better with that. I'm also going to post an algebra tiles little exploration if you really are a visual learner and you like learning with the tiles. But to be honest with you, foiling in my eyes is a little bit easier, but again, we're all individuals, so we might have different things that we pull from, and that's okay. However you do it is totally cool with me. My suggestion, since we're in such a fast-paced course, is just to pick one method and stick to it. So as we go into today, we are going to look at expanding, common factoring, and factoring simple trinomials. But the first place you want to start at is expanding, and then factoring is essentially the opposite. So we're going to start nice and easy, just with a one term by two term, one term by two term expansion. So let's start here. So we are going to take x times x plus 3, and we're just going to expand it. When we are expanding, we got to think about our operations, right? So we only really have 4 choices: adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. When we're dealing with collecting like terms, things of that nature, we're dealing with addition, subtraction. When we are working in quadratics, we're mostly dealing with multiplication, division. We have a lot of stuff going on. We have x squareds, we have x terms, constants, we've got graphs going up, down, max and mins. So it's a little bit too complicated to just do addition, subtraction like we would in linear. We're going to need to work with our multiplication, division operations. So when you're expanding, it's always the form of multiplication. So we're going to take our x, which is a monomial. Just to refresh you, a monomial is one term, a binomial is 2 terms, and a trinomial is 3 terms. So we have a monomial by a binomial. 1 times 2 equals 2. So we have one term multiplied into 2 terms. We're expecting 2 terms as our output. What your teacher probably did in grade 9 or even grade 10 is they might have drawn these little arrows just to show that you're always multiplying. That's really the key to all of this. However many steps you want to use is up to you. Usually when I teach multiplying binomials, I will actually go step by step and show the step of the first term being multiplied in by the second. If you look at it and you see right away what the answer is, feel free to skip. You're in an online course, you have the flexibility to limit some of your steps, but of course showing more steps is better than not enough. So when we take x plus 3 and multiply by x, what we're essentially doing is taking x and multiplying by x. What I like to do in my classes is I will check off the term that I've already dealt with. So I've taken the first arrow and I've multiplied x times x right here. Okay, so I've dealt with that. My only other step is to go back to the x, multiply by the positive 3. Something really, 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 really important to keep in mind is within the brackets, this addition sign means that those 2 terms are separate. So addition, subtraction inside of the bracket means you are on a new term. We are taking x, we're going back, and we're multiplying into positive 3. Okay. This little dot just means multiplication. I'm avoiding using x, especially in this case, because we already have so much going on, right? It'll just make it way more confusing for you guys. So it'll be much easier, again, just to show it with the dot. So this little dot in the brackets, again, just means multiplication. So we're going to take our terms and multiply together. X times X. Okay, so we're going to go further into exponent laws later on this week. But just a general rule of thumb, X times X is X squared. You might have remembered that from even area examples in grade 9 or previous years, perhaps. It's technically x to the power of 1 times x to the power of 1. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Therefore, we have x squared. We're going to keep that addition sign in the middle. And now we have 3 times x. So it's not like x times x where we have a like term that we're collecting it within. We just have 3 times x. So picture x as like a chocolate bar or an apple. If you have one of them multiplied by 3, now you just have 3 apples, 3 chocolate bars. Okay, so you're just left with x squared plus 3x. It seems silly because does this feel solved? Okay, well, no, we're not necessarily solving anything. We're just simplifying. In math, it seems weird because sometimes the longer answer is the simplified, but technically without brackets, sorry, excuse what I said there, without brackets, that is the simplified answer. If you're asked to expand, that's all you're doing right there. Okay, so again, that's a monomial by a binomial. Second way is we might have a pair of brackets. For example, you're going to have some expressions that look like this. Okay, so it is 2 terms, a binomial, by another 2 terms, another binomial. 2 times 2 equals 4. So we're actually expecting 4 terms out. There is something called FOIL. Okay, and what FOIL represents is first, outside, inside, last. Okay, so what you're going to do is this. It might be helpful to use a different color if you have highlighters, if you're writing on the side or whatever. But I'm going to start with my x term. And I'm just going to highlight it to show that that is the term I'm multiplying in. If you actually wanted to,